Hi dear students, welcome to you all in this first lecture on physics. Till standard 10, you have gained preliminary ideas about various topics like optics, electricity, magnetism, motion, force, gravitation, heat, energy, sound, universe under the subject called science. Now these topics are related to a specific branch of science that is called physics. Now in this part 1 video we are going to start the journey of physics. Hi, I am Abhishek Sir and let us start the part 1 video. Now before starting anything, let us quickly see what are the various chapters that we are going to study in this year. Our whole physics part is divided into 15 different chapters, each chapter having some specific markings in various exams. Now the first chapter, physical world. Second chapter is units and measurements. Third is motion in a straight line. Fourth is motion in a plane. Fifth chapter, laws of motion. Sixth, work, energy and power. Seventh, system of particles and rotational motion. Eighth, gravitation. So these 8 chapters out of 15 constitute the part 1 of our textbook. So part 1 physics will contain these 8 chapters. Moving on to another set of chapters, that is mechanical properties of solids, fluids, thermal properties of matter, thermodynamics, kinetic energy, oscillations and waves. They are the chapters of part 2 physics. Right? So these 15 chapters are divided into red arrows and black arrows. Red arrows determine part 1 physics and black arrow is part 2 physics. Now, starting with the start, what does that mean? Before we actually start the chapter physical world, chapter number 1, let us discuss few points about what is science. We all have studied science and under different names, like when you were small you didn't study science but you studied EVS, that was environmental science. In 9th standard, 8th standard the subject changed into science, then in 10th that was science and technology. So what exactly is science that we are studying? It is a systematic and organized knowledge about the various natural phenomena. Now, systematic and organized knowledge, these things are attributed to human beings because he is curious, because he is observing whatever is going on in outside world. He is searching for answers. Curiosity leads to various questions, searching and researching, and then doing experiments, and finally coming to some conclusion that later on may become some theory, right? This all characteristic is the basic attributes of science. Take an example of Newton. Now we all know that he was sitting under an apple tree in a garden and he saw an apple falling downwards. His curiosity that what happened, the apple fell. Where it fell only downwards. He observed all these things and then he started thinking. This thought led him to search and research. For a proof, for a conclusion, he needed to do experiments. He did some experiments. He concluded that there is a force responsible that binds everything to the earth, and that led to a very famous theory and a rule we call as universal law of gravitation. So That is why these 5 things are very necessary. And if you have to remember it, you just remember the first word, that is cosec, a mathematical term, right? But we are not going to use it in the mathematical way. So cosec is the short form of curiosity, observation, search and research, experiment and conclusions. Moving on to the next part, that is various parts of science. Now, the knowledge of science can be divided into 2 broad categories. The first broad category is biological science. So we'll start from the bottom most. The science which deals with the behavior of living things are called biological science. And these biological science also include further sub-branches. As your bio teacher has already explained that biology can be divided into botany, zoology, ornithology, anthropology, entomology, forensic science, etc. etc. Not going into much detail, next part of science, next type of science is physical science. The 2 main physical science are physics and chemistry. Chemistry is the study of every substance, its structure, its composition, its chemical properties, changes in which it takes part. So it is basically related to matter and some reactions. Now the most important part, physics. It is the study of the natural world which deals with the concept of space, time, motion, matter, energy, radiation, etc. Now few other branches that are related to physics. They include geology, geography, astronomy, astrology, oceanology, etc. and many more. So here we will be dealing with physics and its related branches. Now let us start the first chapter, that is named Physical World. The topics to be included in this chapter, that is introduction part, scope of physics, physics, technology and society, fundamental forces of nature, nature of physical laws. So physics, technology and society and fundamental forces are very important topic in this chapter. Starting with the very word, that is physics. Now you can see in the arrow we have different words from different languages. The word Bhautik Vigyan, that is used in Hindi and Gujarati for the word physics, comes from the Sanskrit word Bhautiki. The Bhautiki word is nothing but physics. So that is why in Hindi we say it as Bhautik Vigyan. The next word, physis and physica, they are Greek and Latin words out of which physics word is derived. So that is the history of physics. What exactly is physics? It is a branch of science that deals with the study of basic laws of nature and their demonstration in various natural phenomena. Keep in mind, study of basic laws of nature. So physics is nothing but a study of nature, and demonstration, that is reflection. We can see there the incidents which are related, right? So that basic laws, if they are followed or not, exactly that study is called physics. Now to conclude, as we cannot sum up the physics in few different sentences, but we can write the important points related to physics from this chapter. Physics is a science to understand nature. It involves study of 2 fundamental constituents of universe, that are matter and energy. It deals with natural world like space, time, matter, motion, energy, radiation. Some of the words related to physics you already have heard, like light, rainbows, reflection, refraction, gravity, wave, sound, etc. They are related to physics only. Now let us discuss the next topic, that is scope of physics. The scope of physics is very wide. Every event which occurs around us in our daily life is governed by one or the other principle of physics. So one way of getting the idea of the scope of physics is to look at its various subdisciplines. Now by the word subdisciplines, we will discuss various branches associated with physics. Now discussing about branches of physics, we will use the word domains for classification of those branches. So there are two major domains. One is called macroscopic domain, other is called microscopic domain. Notice the difference in these words. One is macro, other is micro. Macro includes the study of all those phenomena on a larger scale, while microscopic domain includes study of all the associated phenomena of physics on a very small scale. There is a huge difference between macroscopic and microscopic. Like I said, macroscopic deals with the celestial bodies, right? The galaxies, the motion of planets. But microscopic domain will study subatomic particles, nucleus, neutrino, mesons. Maybe these words are new to you because till now you have learned that atomic particles are electron, protons and neutrons. But we have a very vast amount of particles that are inside the nucleus. Like you see, particles of light are called photons. So if you want to study the behavior of photons, you will be studying microscopic domain. Coming back to macroscopic domain, it is also called classical physics. It studies processes at larger scale, like at laboratory scale, terrestrial, astronomical scale. Various branches in macroscopic domain are mechanics, optics, thermodynamics. That is on larger scale. On smaller scale, the study is called quantum physics. Macroscopic is classical physics and microscopic is quantum physics. It deals with the process occurring at very minute level, subatomic levels. Quantum mechanics is the main branch which is related to this domain. So two major domains, macro and micro. Now let us study various disciplines, various branches of physics. So even though there are many branches of physics, but we will be studying the major parts. So the most important one is mechanics. What is mechanics? It deals with the equilibrium or motion of material bodies at low speed. That means it is the branch of physics dealing with laws of motion and gravitation. For example, rocket propulsion, study of waves, motion of particles, objects are all under mechanics. The next branch is optics. It is the branch of physics dealing with nature and propagation of light. Reflection, refraction, dispersion, scattering, all we have studied in 10th standard, that was optics. The third branch is thermodynamics. The branch of physics dealing with internal energy, heat, temperature, that is called thermodynamics. Heat engines, refrigerators, etc. are the part of thermodynamics. Moving on, electrodynamics. The branch of physics dealing with electric and magnetic phenomena of charged bodies. Solenoids, current carrying conductors, electromagnets, they are under electrodynamics. Next is quantum mechanics. It is a branch of physics dealing with behavior of subatomic particles like atoms and nucleus and all many other particles. Astrophysics, the branch of physics dealing with galaxies, planets, motion of celestial bodies, black holes, etc. Likewise, there are many other branches: laser physics, geophysics, neurophysics, biophysics, chemical physics, nuclear physics, engineering physics, plasma physics and many more. So in this video we have started with the physical world chapter. Before that we discussed the chapters that are in part 1 and part 2 textbook. We started with discussion about science, then we discussed about physics, then we started with what is physics, scope of physics, branches and disciplines of physics. So I hope this is enough for part 1 video. As it was an introductory video, we discussed few basic things related to science and physics. So part 1 ends here. Let us meet in part 2 and we'll continue the course. Thank you. That's all for today. Stay safe.